My name is David McElroy, and I'm going to talk to you about angels. Angels that are in our midst. I have to tell you, I've given this talk at other UU churches, and when I finished, I would see some rather deep, rather alarmed looks on people's faces. At one question and answer, after I had spoken, a man asked me how I could be a Unitarian Universalist and believe in angels. Well, I do believe in angels. And this talk is about my personal experiences and the other people in my life that have spoken to me about their experiences. Do I believe in angels? Yes. And here's why. I have been, over the last several years, on a road of discovery about who David McElroy is. It is a road of self-discovery. I believe self-discovery is important for everyone to take at some point in their lives. My first look at self-discovery was when I realized that I was an alcoholic. It was a painful realization and one that I had denied for quite a long time. When I did finally act upon it, I had a great deal of support from my wife, Marylin, and from those people that cared about me. So I stopped drinking and have been in recovery, and I'm proud of myself for making 26 years of sobriety. I'm also on the road of self-discovery with my Adult Children of Alcohol group. This is a self-help group that deals with adult children who have grown up in alcoholic homes. I've been with ACA for about 13 years and have discovered some wonderful breakthroughs for myself. From these breakthroughs, I want to give back some of the things that I have learned while being out there. I have had what I call a spiritual awakening. I've always been a spiritual person, and I believe in a power greater than myself. So with this in mind, I set out to talk to you about this wonderful and enlightening experience that I have had that opened my mind to further look at angels. As well as being a speaker, I'm also a playwright and a director and actor in theater. Marylin and I, as Cary said, run our own theater called Southern Winds. And then last May, we had a production of a play that I wrote called The Recovery Room, presented at the Orlando International Children's Festival, the International Fringe Festival. It was done along with a series of two of my other shorter plays, and we presented them in a play called Snapshots. My play was called The Recovery Room. It deals with a 56-year-old man who is in the hospital for heart transplant surgery. When the surgery is over, his wife is paged to come to the recovery room. A woman comes into the room, and the man awakens. They talk about how great he feels and how his new heart seems to be working so well. He wonders who is there to see him, and he is told his father and mother are in the waiting room. He talks about his own childhood, and he asks if his children are there. He is told that they're at a friend's house waiting to hear about his surgery. He feels so good that he wants to do many things. He wants to take his wife out to eat. He wants to go dancing. He wants to go back to work. Do all the things that he couldn't do before his new heart was transplanted. He's told to take it easy. The woman goes out, and the man closes his eyes. Moments later, his surgeon walks back into the room with his wife, and the doctor tells the wife how sorry he is that her husband's transplant didn't work. She is distraught at his death. The doctor leaves, and the man's wife talks to him about their life together and how she's sorry that they had been estranged. She tells him that her wish is that he might now be with his mother and father who passed away years earlier. She then tells him of a beautiful woman that she met in the waiting room, whom she thought was a nurse, and how warm and welcoming this woman was to her, talking about her loss. The wife leaves the room, and the woman, who is a guardian angel, comes back and takes the man home. Now, I got this idea of the play from the title. Then I thought how nice it would be to transcend this earth, knowing that we are well taken care of and in an angel's care. I received this email from a friend, which is titled, Two Traveling Angels. Two traveling angels stopped to spend the night in the home of a wealthy family. The family was rude and refused to let the angels stay in the mansion's guest room. Instead, the angels were given a small space in the cold basement. As they made their bed upon the hard floor, the older angel saw a hole in the wall and repaired it. The younger angel asked why the older angel repaired it. He says, things are not always what they seem. The next night, the pair came to rest in the house of a very poor but very hospitable farmer and his wife. After sharing what little food they had, the couple let the angels sleep in their bed, where they could have a good night's rest. When the sun came up the next morning, the angels found the farmer and his wife in tears. Their only cow, whose milk had been their sole income, lay dead in a field. The younger angel was infuriated and asked the older angel, how could you let this happen? The first family at the mansion had everything, yet you helped them, the younger angel accused. The second family had little, but you were willing to share everything, and you let their cow die. Things aren't always what they seem, the older angel replied. When we stayed in the basement of the mansion, I noticed that there was gold stored in a hole in the wall. Since the owner was so obsessed with greed and unwilling to share his good fortune, I sealed the wall so he couldn't find it. Then last night we slept in the farmer's bed. The angel of death came for the wife. I gave him the cow instead. Things aren't always what they seem. Sometimes things don't turn out the way they should. Sometimes you just need to trust that every outcome is going to be to your advantage. You just might not know it until sometime later. Some people come into our life and go quickly. Some become friends and stay away, leaving beautiful footprints on our hearts. And we're never quite the same because we've made a good friend. The rest went on to say, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Never take away anyone's hope. That may be all they had. I was feeling rather low when I received this email, and with it there was little footprints of this beautiful angel among the letters. I read the email several times and I wondered, are there traveling angels? I mean, are they here? Do they go about from one place to the other helping or giving lessons? It seemed to me that there must be angels in our midst. It filled me with hope and happiness. I also wondered if there were angels, and if there were angels, where did they come from? Why are they here? Would I recognize an angel if I saw one? I wanted to understand first what angels were and how they manifest themselves in our lives. Now, many religions describe in detail what angels are. Some say they are God's messengers, some say they are guardians. The Christian view is that angels are represented throughout the Bible as a body of spiritual beings intermediate between God and man. The Bible states in Psalm 8, verse 6, you have made man a little less than the angels. And Psalm 148, verse 2 says, they, equally with man, are created beings. Praise him, all ye angels. Praise ye him, all his hosts. For he has spoke, and they are made. He commanded, and they are created. In Judaism, biblical books present angels as heavenly beings created by God, who are not endowed with free will. Judaism believes in angels, not human-like creatures with white wings, but entirely spiritual entities with no physical imagery, although they may sometimes take on temporary physical form. I also looked at angel basics in Buddhism. The Buddhist equivalent of angels are called devas, or celestial beings. Some schools of Buddhism also refer to them as protectors. In Tibetan Buddhism, for instance, devas are sometimes considered to be emanations of enlightened beings. In the earth-based tradition of Wicca, angels are referred to as the Watchers. They are described as an ancient race that has evolved beyond the need of physical form, and were gods who guarded the heavens and the earth. A metaphysical website run by Ellie Crystal, who is a psychic, a teacher, a therapist, and researcher, says the word angel comes from the Greek word angelos, which means messenger. Angels are those souls who, from the beginning of creation of the universe, never lost contact with the universal life force, never had physical lives, and seek only to fulfill the will of the universal life source. Angels can vary in form depending on the needs and expectations of those requesting help. They may appear as either male or female, but are neither. They are beings of light energy. They came into being as a link between the universal force and humanity. They bring us messages to guide us and protect us, and angels usually come with a frequency of unconditional love. Angels have been recognized by major religions as having a very important place in the overall plan of creation. Angels usually do not remain with one person exclusively. They come to you when you call them. The message then for me is, angels come when you call. I wonder, does it have to be something major for them to come to us? Or are they here all the time and we just don't recognize them? A few weeks later, I received another email, an angel icon that if you watched her, she would fly in place. I received this little angel from my brother-in-law, and the caption said, "Worry looks around, sorry looks back, faith looks up. You must send this to 8 people, including me, in 8 minutes, and you will receive something you have long awaited. Have faith." I took a moment and thought about this message. What did it mean? Worry looks around was the first part. So if I let it, worry will be all around me. The second part said, sorry looks back. And I took it to mean if I look at the past all the time, I'll never go forward in life. The third part was, faith looks up. So if I look up all the time, will I have faith? Then it says for me to send it to 8 other people. However, I'm confused, as I have to send it to 8 people to receive something that I have long awaited. If I don't send it, will I not get what I long awaited? Instead of doing this, I thought about the angels that I have in my life. My wife, Marylin, my 2 beautiful daughters, Caitlin and Chloe, my mother, Mildred, my in-laws, Jack and Patty Firminick, my family, all the wonderful people I know and love in my UU Society, my men's support group, my friends. I really consider all of them angels. Then something happened that made me reach beyond these thoughts. A while back, my daughter Chloe and I were coming out of the store where we just purchased some fruits and vegetables. We were talking about what we were going to do while we waited to pick up Marylin, who was across the street working out at LA Fitness. We were walking toward our car when I heard the screech of brakes and the sickening sound of 2 cars crashing into each other with a loud bang. I turned when the brakes started squealing and saw 2 white cars crash into each other right around the front of each car. As soon as the cars were stopped, the woman started screaming, "My baby! My baby!" There was a woman in the car. That's all I could see. She couldn't get out of the front door of the car. That's where the 2 cars had hit. But she managed to crawl out the window, all the time screaming about her baby. As we moved closer, 2 men got out of the other car. And she ran over and started hitting one of the men. She said, "My baby." He says, "Cool it, lady. It was an accident." Both men moved off like they were running away, but as I discovered later, they were going to call the police. The woman was still hysterical and shouted, "Don't let them get away! My baby, my baby!" Chloe and I moved closer to the car, and we could see that a man was holding a baby inside the car. All was still as he held the baby. I wondered, why was this baby not in a car seat? I felt upset he was holding this baby when the 2 cars collided. However, upon closer inspection, I noticed that there was indeed a car seat, and I surmised he must have taken the baby out of the car seat right after the collision. He got out of the car with the baby, and from where I was standing, it looked as if the baby wasn't moving. We approached even closer, and the woman continued to scream about her baby. Now, I might note here that I believe she was in shock. She did not go to the baby or comfort the baby in any way. She just continued to scream. The man holding the baby tried to calm her down. And about that time, a woman with pastel colors and red hair emerged from the crowd. She came out to the man and said, "Let me have the baby. I know infant CPR." The man protested a bit as the mother moved back and forth like this caged tiger. The red-haired woman, who I believe to be a nurse, took the baby, leaned down in a crouching position with the baby cradled in her arms. She unbuttoned the baby's shirt, put her hand on its chest, and I saw her eyes close ever so slightly. She took a deep breath and said to perhaps the mother or the father, "Yes, this baby is going to be all right." And the baby started wailing at the top of its lungs, the way a baby that's just been born might sound. The red-haired woman continued to hold the baby, and then another woman, dressed in the same pastel colors, I thought maybe another nurse, leaned down next to the red-haired woman, and the baby, they looked at each other with a smile. And the other woman said, "Yes, this baby is all right." Right at that moment, I felt an inner peace come over me. I sensed that there was nothing that Chloe and I could do to help the situation, as the police had arrived and there seemed to be a gathering crowd of people all around. I looked again at the two women and noticed that they looked like sisters. Both women had red hair with pastel colors, and I felt they had been there at the right time. They helped save that baby. Later that night, I was relating the story to Marylin. I described in detail the events that went on, this harrowing event. I described the two red-haired women, who by now I was convinced were sisters, and how they acted and what they did. I decided and started to describe this peaceful feeling I got when this bolt of realization hit me. These two women were not nurses. They were angels. Yes, I said it, angels. I felt this warm, glowing feeling come over me. There was a distinctive quality to the way they looked and spoke, a calmness that prevailed over me. Now, as I said, I've always believed in a higher power and have wondered about angels among us. And not until recently, since I was a little boy, did I think about this. But these two angels who breathed life back into that baby moved with grace and remained pictures in my thoughts. And now as I inspect my thoughts, I remember that the second angel glided in next to the other lady. Did I say glided? Yes, that was it. She glided next to the other angel, and the baby was really active, really alive. Angels come when you call. The mother kept yelling, "My baby, my baby." And the angels came. So you may be saying to yourself, angels, huh? Well, yes, I'm here to say angels. Going back to Ellie Crystal, who explained in some detail what angels are. She also uses the term spirit guide that is more recognizable in the physical world. She says, spirit guides are different in many respects from angels. Each guide generally comes to you for a specific purpose: creative abilities, healing issues, spiritual development, and can guide you on your way during transition. In September 2004, my sister Kathy Carlson died from liver and pancreatic cancer. The few weeks before she died, she was under hospice care in her house in Marylin, Minnesota, which is just outside of Minneapolis. My mother and I decided to spend the last days with her, and although to this very day that I grieve her loss, I have to tell you that her passing was amazing. When we arrived, she was in her bed looking to her right, and after greeting us and knowing that we were there, she pointed again to her right, and she asked me who was the tall man standing next to her bed. I was sitting holding her hand, and I looked over to where she was pointing, and I saw no one else was in the room. I said, "What does he look like?" She told me that he was very tall, dressed in leather with feathers and beads, and just standing there looking straight ahead. I asked if he had said anything to her, and she told me no, he was just standing there, like he was guarding her. I took this to be some sort of guardian angel, which I now believe was a spiritual guide who was of American Indian descent. Now, I would talk to Kathy when she was away. At those times, over the next several days, she spoke about being at Nellie's place. This was our aunt who had passed 2 years earlier. She told me that she saw 2 bright lights, that she was in a windstorm in Wisconsin. I was sitting next to Kathy one morning, and she looked to my right, seeing someone there, and she said, "Oh, that's David." I asked who she was talking to, and she said, Well, that little girl sitting right there. Now, I have to tell you, while all this was happening, I was in a constant state of two very strong emotions. One was, of course, utter sorrow, and the other was bliss. When I sat with Kathy, I knew there were angels and spirit guides to watch over her. I knew that she was going to be well taken care of. It didn't abate my sorrow, but it did give me some comfort to know that when she did pass, it would be wonderful for her. I did not get to stay with her until her passing, as we were having some horrible hurricanes that year, and I went back to be with my family in Orlando. However, upon hearing of her death, the tears fell from my eyes. But I knew that she was safe and happy, and in the midst of angels. Now, I related my angel stories to several of my friends. My friend Dennis said I had witnessed a miracle and the angels brought the baby back to life. I hadn't thought about this until he said it. I know miracles do occur every day, and to be witness to them, it's amazing. There's a satisfaction in knowing that we're not alone on this planet, that things unseen sometimes guide us. Sometimes our angels are revealed to us through acts of kindness and perhaps kinds of sorrow. Now it's time for my beautiful wife, Marylin, to sing the song Angel by Sarah McLaughlin. Marylin?
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction. Oh, beautiful release. Memories seep from my veins. Let me be empty. Oh, I'm weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight. In the arms of the angel, fly away. That you fear, you are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. The storm keeps on twisting, keep on building the lives that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference. Escape one last time. It's easier to believe in this sweet madness. Oh, this glorious sadness. The brain
thinking, oh, this is great, but how do we recognize the angels in our midst? I say we start with the people that are closest to us. Do you feel comfortable, enlightened, and happy, and interested in the loved ones around you? If your answer is yes, then there are angels in your life. The spiritual ones are harder to recognize because, quite frankly, I think they do their work in anonymity. I know that when I first saw the two women with the baby, I simply thought that they were nurses. And even though I felt this great peace come over me, and that is another way I believe that we can recognize angels, the feeling of peace that envelops you, knowing that all is well while you're around them. Now, I believe I had a spirit guide one other time. Ellie Crystal says a spirit guide can help save you during an accident by entering your body and stopping time. Marylin and I were in a very serious auto accident about 11 years ago. I had my forehead crushed in, and I thought perhaps not only was my career over, but perhaps even my life. When the accident happened, we were on a very busy highway in the middle of an intersection, and I was laid out on the asphalt. There were these huge trucks and cars going by, and all I could think about while I was laying there in the middle of the road was all these cars, trucks whizzing by. What if one of them drives into the intersection by accident? I knew I did not want that to happen. As I looked out, and although I could not recognize the figure, I saw a white light surround where we were. It encompassed all the medical personnel, the police that were directing traffic, the other cars, and the people that were in the accident. I believe that was a spirit guide or angel that watched over me and the whole area surrounding me. I believe at the time when we need them, there are one or more angels or spiritual guides for all of us. So, do I believe in angels? Yes. Do I believe in spirit guides that may be around us as well? Yes. We are a physical nature, but we also have an inward light that is connected to not only the universal life source, which is spiritual, but the earth source that is physical. And we can connect to both. And when we do, we will recognize and receive the angels that are in our midst. Thank you for letting me come today. And may your angels protect and guide you.